Long Island, known for its beaches, its pizza, its bagels, but most importantly, lacrosse. And we've got a hot one in store in the hotbed as the 6th-ranked Stony Brook Seawolves visit the Hofstra Pride in our CAA Game of the Week on Lax Sports Network. Hello, everybody. Alongside the 3-time Team USA gold medalist, Kelly Berger, I am Tom Esch, and appreciate you joining us for some Friday night lacrosse tonight. 6th-ranked Stony Brook making that drive about 45 minutes, maybe an hour if there's traffic to the west, the Hempstead, to take on Hofstra. A lot of players on these teams come from this area, Kelly. A little more to this one.
Yeah, Friday night under the lights at Hofstra, you can't get much better, and these two teams are going to battle no matter where they are on the rankings. They're going to come out ready to play.
Absolutely. And we'll start with Stony Brook. You know the stars over the years that have come out of the Seawolves program. Kylie and Taryn O'Miller, Allie Kennedy, to name a couple. But Ellie Macera, she could be the next one.
Yeah, Ellie leads this team in every stat. You know she is up for having a game on the island tonight. She knows her time has finally come, and I will quote her coach, Joe Spallina, "We ask a lot from her, but she's awesome." So I think she's prepared.
That offense, though, going against the 4th-ranked defense in the country in Hofstra, and Jess Smith, who's first in the nation in save percentage.
Jess Smith, you said it, is the real deal. I love what her coach said about her. She's training differently. She watches a ton of game film. And the biggest advantage she has, Shannon Smith shoots on her every day at practice. So she's prepared. She knows what she's going to see tonight. She's got to come out and have some really big saves early on and keep this Hofstra team in it.
And in goal for the Stony Brook Seawolves is Charlie Campbell, the graduate transfer from Syosset, New York. She came over from Virginia, where she has the 6th most saves in program history and really came in and took the job, Kelly. Cameron Halsall was the goalie here last year, but Campbell impressed in the preseason and in fall, and she has been in the cage ever since the start of the season.
Yeah, and if that dance move right there didn't show you how excited these guys are for this game. Yeah, she's ready, and we'll see what happens on both sides of the cage. So I'm anxious to see how these goalies react.
As she continues the footwork, Shannon Smith on the sideline for the Pride at 6-1. The 3-2 Seawolves headed by Joe Spallina. Just about 53 degrees here in Hempstead tonight for the opening draw. They go up top for it, and the scramble continues here in the middle of the field. And it will be Hofstra picking it up here to start this one. Bryn Hepting, the freshman from Towson, Maryland, able to get that first for Hofstra. And we will see them if they can get the clear for the first time on the offensive end. And the big storyline, heading into the year, there is a foul there, was the fact that Hofstra moving on from Alyssa Perella. She's, of course, got all the records for Hofstra, now removed from that era. The Pride doing a pretty good job this year at 6-1.
Yeah, it's always hard to, lose a top player like Alyssa, but I think this Hofstra team got excited by that a little bit as well. Some players can blossom and kind of come out from behind the curtain that maybe didn't get a chance to. And that's no knock on Alyssa. It's just a different style. And their coaching staff recognizes that, and they're ready to work with what they have. And I think they've done a good job so far.
Going on to watch 20 in white, Katie Whalen, a captain, a graduate student for this team. She leads the team in all the categories, goals, assists, and points. Also has picked up 16 draws. So the offense will flow through her. But also they've had some more spread out attack this year in the leave of Perella too.
I think the biggest thing for Hofstra right here is to not be intimidated from the first whistle. And so far, they're looking very confident in what they're doing. And they want to make sure that they aren't going to get pushed around by Stony Brook to start and show them that they're going to be willing to hang out and just battle.
We had a shooting space call before the pass. Ariana Esposito, another captain, another graduate here for this team, will toe the line with 15 seconds on the possession clock. 9 goals this season. Coming off a 2-goal game against Marist. The whistle sounds before the shot, but it's still in. And the score, Hofstra takes a 1-0 lead.
This was one of those takes where I almost felt like she was a little late coming off that line, reacting from the whistle, and she was able to change the level of her stick and get around the defender. She looked back there. She wasn't able to see kind of the official, what they were doing, but she reacted perfectly well and put it past that goalkeeper. I mean, that was fire fast. Very well done.
I was a little off balance from the whistle by the official. Came at kind of a funny time, but Esposito getting her 10th goal of the season, and already on the board, the Hofstra, this is what they needed to do, is get out to a little bit of a lead here first against a very strong and talented, as we know, Stony Brook team. Like we said, Hofstra 6-1, coming off a year in which they make the NCAA tournament, their first appearance since 2007. Stony Brook, as we know, have ascended to the top of the ranks in the last few years, and they played a tough schedule at 3-2. They get this draw too. They lost to Syracuse by one of the opening weekends of the year. That was a battle, beating Dartmouth. They go to Florida and win at Florida, something they haven't done a lot, just their second win over Florida. A loss at Northwestern, tough place to play, and then they beat Johns Hopkins last time out. A takeaway by Shannon Boyle, two-time captain for the Pride on the defensive end. Another one of those graduates. Hofstra, yeah, we talk about Perella moving on, but they had some people come back to this team with some experience too, and that's what's led to a lot of their success.
Yeah, and I mean, look there on the defense. We talked a lot about offense because of them losing Alyssa, but their defense, you know, Shannon said they came back. Coach Smith said they came back ready to work, bought into the system, and they're tough kids. And that's what you expect on Long Island, right? Yeah. But, you know, they're ready to put their foot down and say, no, we're going to hold you to not scoring and let our offense go to work.
Taylor Manella there, 21, another one of the scorers, second leading for Hofstra this year, 18 goals. It's Whalen here behind the cage. Hofstra worked the clock on their first possession. Now here in the second one, doing the same. A little more than halfway through. Whalen goes to the crease, and she stepped in. So Campbell goes down hard. Takes her a little while to get up. Looks like she is okay. So the violation on Whalen. The ball will turn back over to Stony Brook here. Slow starts for Stony Brook is something that they have struggled with. They had some different circumstances the last couple times out, but were slow starting at Northwestern. Really slow against Johns Hopkins, too. They trailed 4-1. They went on a 15-1 run in that game. But that's been a point of emphasis for them this last week in practice, too.
That's tough, too, as a player, as a coach. Once you get that in your head that you have a slow start and then you start to have a slow start, you kind of get all jammed up a little bit. So hopefully they just let it go there, take this possession, see what they can come up with. It's still very early.
Shot just goes a little bit wide by Rafferty. She had 6 goals against Johns Hopkins last weekend. She's one of the graduates here for the Stony Brook Seawolves. There is a save by Jess Smith off the shot by Hampel. The next shot goes just a little bit wide. Stony Brook gets the run out. Shot clock will reset to 90 here. I didn't catch it beforehand. It should, if it was below 60, that's the new rule this year, go to 60 after a shot. And I think that's what the officiating crew is doing.
Let's not ignore those 2 big saves right on the doorstep there. And that's, you know, what we said Smith has to do early on is to make saves that she shouldn't make. And it rallies your defense behind you even more.
She had a great freshman season on the all-rookie team. She was #1 in the CAA in saves per game. The last couple years, not as good, but this year she's come back and she's played really, really well. More of a, you know, she's in her senior year, maybe a little bit more focused in there and worked on her fitness, as Kelly mentioned, in the Open, and now she's playing great, like we said at the top, leading the nation in save percentage. Another one to watch in this offense for Stony Brook, 14, Kaylin Hart. America East rookie team member last year. She's fiery, as is that one too. Massera gets her first. Stony Brook gets on the board.
It takes a minute to figure out this defense that Hofstra's throwing at Stony Brook. But when you have a player like Ellie who is able to read off ball just as well as when she has the ball in her stick, it can be very sneaky. And you see there, she reads that defender just turning her head just for a second, makes the perfect cut. Her teammates are looking for her. You better believe that, and she's going to finish it.
Massera's 18th goal of the season. She's the reigning IWLCA co-player of the week. a two-time America East Offensive Player of the Week as well, including this week too. She had 4 goals against Johns Hopkins. And like we said at the top, she is the one to watch for Stony Brook. And Kelly mentioned about Joe Spolina saying, you know, they're putting a lot on her, giving her a lot of responsibility. I'll take you one farther than that. He's saying they're asking her to do a little bit more even than Allie Kennedy at this stage. Some of the other stars from the past feels like she can handle that well, and she sure has in her sophomore season out of Eastport, New York.
In her sophomore season. That, I mean, these kids just keep getting younger, but it's so impressive.
That one picked up by Whalen at the circle, and the foul adjudicated on Hampel. Another good win here for Hofstra. Get about 11 draw controls per game. Of course, moving on from Darcy Smith, another one of those longtime Hofstra players moving on after last year alongside Perella and Alexa Matera. But they've been doing a decent job there. And Stony Brook, 72nd in the nation. They get about 13 draw controls per game. So the draw that I expect would be somewhat even. We'll see if that does play to anyone's advantage as the game goes on too. 1-1 here in the first, less than 10 minutes to go. Don't forget we're playing quarters this year. That's the change from last year in which we played 2 halves of 30 minutes, 4 15-minute quarters. Space there in the middle. That one, though, knocked away and gathered up by the defense. I think it was Sabello who got her stick on it, and here comes Stony Brook the other way. This is what Hofstra did not want. Rafferty, a little spin on the inside. Poulos. Couple quick passes, the spin, the fire, and that one's gobbled up by Smith. Rafferty couldn't get it to go. Good job there in transition by Hofstra.
Yeah, a really great job. And what they did is they came to the ball. They slowed the ball down. They didn't let the ball come to them. Kind of got in their hands, jammed them up a little bit, allowed the ball to slow down so some of their players could get back and try and get even. And honestly, to have the goalies be able to see the ball is the biggest thing in those situations. And that's exactly what Smith was able to do.
Something that Hofstra's done well here so far. They haven't allowed Stony Brook to get multiple chances on their offensive end. It's been one and done every single time, and that will help. Of course, you don't want that second chance, the rebound, and things like that to start that Stony Brook offense going, and a point of emphasis for Hofstra going into today.
You'll see here that Stony Brook is playing somewhat of a zone. It's kind of somewhat hard to follow, but they know what they're doing. They're all on the same page. They're communicating. You can see that they're pointing. They're using their sticks. They're making sure they're checking in and out of the 8-meter to get out of that 3-second call and out of shooting space.
Joe Spolina says this defense has a chip on their shoulder, as you might imagine, but getting inside right there along the pipe, Aaron Demick.
Within this offense, you have to really make sure you keep your head up the whole time. You can't have the ball in your stick too long, and that's exactly what they did. They moved the ball quickly. Cutters came through, showing their stick, and don't question yourself. If you turn and you find a spot to shoot, find the spot to shoot and nail it, and that's exactly what they did there. That was really well done by Erin, turning her shoulders and finishing down.
Coming off a 2-goal game against Marist, Demick, the senior from Ellicott City, Maryland, with her 10th goal of this season. That's a little bit what we talked about with the variety on attack here for Hofstra. They do have multiple options this year, and so far with Esposito and Demick there, the attacker, she's able to get a goal. So 2-1. This is what Hofstra wanted at the beginning of this game, trying to get on Charlie Campbell and have her a little bit of a difficulty early, probably doing just that.
That was one thing I really liked what Shannon talked about, is she said all 4 of her starting attackers are producing, and that's huge, her top attackers. And that's what you need. You need them to produce. You need them to score goals. So you can ask your middies to do other things, and that's when you know you have a good thing going, and they'll peak at the right time.
Stony Brook gets that draw. They're 20th in the nation in offense, 20th in defense as well. They score about 14.6 goals per game, as we've seen over the years. And you know, Kim Hillier was such a big part of this offense before moving on to Drexel and developing a lot of these players. That's what they take a lot of pride in here at Stony Brook, is development. Sarah here up top. Haven't seen too many touches yet around there for Kaylin Hart. See if she can get involved here early. Sabella here playing on the offensive end. They'll move her around, and she pretty much plays up and down, but great on the defensive end. Now getting involved offensively, too, number 5 in red.
It almost feels like that's what they're trying to do, right? Get some touches, feel the ball, get in the groove of the game.
Great pass. The shot stopped again. Hart that time, her first shot of the game. Smith, another save.
Incredible save. And why that makes it so incredible is the attacker is coming across the 8 and she's shot back to where she came from. And that only means the goalie is coming with the ball and has to step back as well. And that's quickness. And that's all comes down to training and footwork. I've never been a goalie. I don't want to be, but that is very impressive.
She's the cousin, if you guys don't remember, of the head coach, Shannon Smith. So the relationship there, I remember talking to Shannon when Jess was just a youngin', and sort of getting a feel of what that was going to be like, you know, a close family and that. And I think they figured it out here as time has gone on.
Yeah, I didn't want to bring it up on the call until she did, but she said, and she's my cousin, so I can say some things to her.
Like a cross-check there called against Stony Brook, so we'll get another free position. This is Taylor Manella, 10 for 16 this year in free position goals, looking for her 19th of the season. She had 2 goals against Stony Brook last year. This was a competitive game last year too, don't forget. 12-8, Stony Brook win out there. A whistle, though, they're right off, and they're saying that she went too early, I believe, before that whistle sounded. So that one called off. It'll be Stony Brook possession. Joe Spallina there, the right side of your screen on the sideline. His 11th season, assisted by Greg Misselli and Sydney Pareca, a 5-time America East Coach of the Year. So officials continue to discuss a little bit of the prior call. Plenty of discussion, and the open hand tells us we're ready to go again. So here we go.
Always a lot of chatter, you know?
Gotta make sure everyone's in the right spot at the right time. Here's a scramble in the middle. This is what Long Island lacrosse is all about, right? Getting these tough ground balls, and it's Hofstra that comes out with it. Caitlin Murphy. How about the hustle?
Wow.
And then the timeout by Shannon Smith, a heady one, because
Wow.
Murphy retreating there, and Smith calls a timeout. How about that? Great play.
Great call, Coach. She knew it. She knew she had to do something, and I mean, she's a player's coach, and her mind is just so incredible about the game, and I've always been so impressed by her. And that shows it right there. She's aware. She had to make a call, and that was a great call by her.
Yeah, she's won those championships at Northwestern, as you know, and a U.S. Women's National Team member. But, you know, right out of college, she comes and takes this job at Hofstra and has done such a wonderful job at that. Their last title coming back in 2015. And a 2019 season, they went 12-7, and then COVID, of course, in 2020. But last year, yeah, you look at the record 6-7, but they played a really tough schedule. They ended up losing to JMU in the CAA semifinal. That was a good one. And then they go into the NCAA tournament. Lost to Loyola by just 2 in the first round, 11-9. So their first NCAA tournament appearance since 2007. There's where they were picked here in the preseason poll in the CAA, Kelly. And just to see this team once again, they're 6-1 this year. I think playing maybe a little bit of different kind of opponents this year has helped them gain some confidence for games like this.
And, you know, I think that's good. I think you need to have a mix. I think you need to have that build of a confidence, and then, you know, ones that you battle with. And sometimes when those seasons come along that have every game just kind of knocks you down, it's hard to get back up. So it's something that they really have to think about, and something that they really need to consider when making their schedules.
And it gets harder now. You got Stony Brook and then Vanderbilt here and over in here in Hempstead on Sunday, UConn, and then JMU. So it doesn't get any easier now, but Those are all pretty good teams they'll have to contend with, starting here today with Stony Brook. And they have a 2-1 lead here. And so far, Hofstra has been more or less in control.
Feels that way. I'm pretty sure Stony Brook is thinking that way on their sideline as well. But again, a lot of game left, right? And we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, a 15-1 run is in the back of all of our minds, and with which Stony Brook had against Johns Hopkins, against a Gene Tucker coach team. So I think that Hofstra, you got to say, keep the brakes on, and let's let this thing play out.
I always say, you got to keep your emotions in check, because there's so many highs and so many lows in a game. Game is long. That's what you need to kind of watch what Stony Brook does here. Are they going to let their emotions take over, or frustration? That could put them in a bad spot, because Hofstra's feeling good.
A 2-minute penalty.
So that was just a yellow card on Stony Brook that was just called. So it's going to be a player up opportunity if you're here for Hofstra. I'm not sure what the yellow card was for, but Lindsey Rongo adjudicated there. So it's going to be a minute of time with an advantage for Hofstra here. These are the special team situations that Shannon Smith preaches, so important. Ball goes loose for a little bit. That goes beyond the restraining line too, and a foul. Ball turned back over. Good job there by Massera, getting her stick in there too.
And like you said, when it's on the ground, especially Stony Brook versus Hofstra, it's going to be a battle. Bodies are going to be flying, and people are going to be going all out. So it's definitely impressive to watch, but you have to continue to play until you hear that whistle.
So Stony Brook will look to wean out this clock until the penalty is expired. Should be coming here in about 10-15 seconds or so. Then they will go to work with a pretty good amount of time here left on the clock. Oh, excuse me, a 2-minute penalty. I apologize for that. So another minute's going to tick off, and they'll have to go or do something here.
Again, just trying to get a feel for the ball in their stick. I think they might also be trying to buy some time. They're man down right now. But, if you're Stony Brook, you can't panic right now.
And a late whistle there, the stick to the face, and now we'll get to even strength, which in turn will turn into a Stony Brook opportunity of their own. So 3:02 to go, and that just was an errant stick after a dodge opportunity by Hampel. So heading to the bench will be Anna Kaufman.
After yellow card, assessment number 28, Anna Kaufman. A 2-minute penalty.
So 2-1 here, about 25 go here. And penalty number 1.
It's pretty crazy to think that teams used to be able to do this almost all game long when there was no shot clock. And now the shot clock just changes things just slightly for the better.
Gets things going a little bit sooner than it normally would have.
For sure.
Now Stony Brook looking to attack, and a shooting space drawn there by Massera. She'll get an opportunity at the 8-meter. Already 1 goal today. Is the goal, and she scores her second. 2 for Massera, 2 for Stony Brook. It's 2-2.
You could see that play was designed specifically for her to catch the defense in shooting space, to set her up on that center hash. And when you give the center hash to Ellie, she knows this. She knows how to do it. She knows where to shoot. She knows where to run. She knows she has to get quick off the line. She's done it 100 times already, and just the confidence that she has, that she hasn't always had. Joe talked about it. She did go through some struggle And she was able to kind of push past that and blossom once she found a little bit of success.
Yeah, I mean, she had a bit of an up and down, I guess, a down and up freshman season, and started a little bit slowly, then really turned a corner after a COVID break in the middle of the season, and then came through, had a big game again in the quarterfinal against North Carolina, which was a really close game at that. And now she's on everyone's radar, so everybody knows who she is, and she's become the focal point here for Stony Brook. 2:20 to go in the first. Score is 2-2. Hampel and Whalen battling here for the draw. We're back to even strength. That picked up by Bryn Hepting again. Couple ground balls already for her today.
So you can see that Stony Brook is not scared to pressure a little bit further out on defense. I think their goal, and this sounds scary, but it's not, to intimidate a little bit. But they want to get up on their hands. They want to get on Hofstra's hands and kind of, use their footwork and their speed to their advantage here on defense. And we'll see if that changes anything.
It's Kate Fiola with a shot that just went wide. And I think they want to reset. They might say that glimmered off the post or the stick of Charlie Campbell. So we will get that reset. There you go. There's your example of it resetting to 60. It was below 60 seconds, and instead of the full 90, which it had been in the past, the shot clock will reset to 60 here in situations like that where it's a save or off the post, really registering as a shot on goal, if you will. Quick restart here for Langella. Whalen surveying, wide pass there. They look into the middle, trying to get some space, and it will go innocently into Campbell's stick. Less than a minute to play here in the first. 2-2 is the score. It's been a battle.
I feel like every possession, kind of on our toes to see what happens. It's been exciting.
Good crowd here in James Stewart Stadium. .30 on the clock. You hear the sideline yelling. Sapolsky into the middle. How far down, I wonder, is Stony Brook going to get this?
I would say probably about 15 to 10 seconds, and they'll look to go. Just because they're getting antsy, although they're probably being told 10 seconds.
I'm getting antsy, too. We'll see what happens. That one in the middle. Sabella got that shot off somehow. With 5 seconds on the clock, Stony Brook takes the lead. The three-time captain with her 9th goal of the year.
And that's the momentum they're looking for. They're reading off ball. They're able to thread the needle there, turn, and, it's one of those shots where you got to let it go. There's 6 seconds left. So take a chance. And that's what she did, and it was a beautiful finish. And these are the kind of runs that you don't want Stony Brook to feel the power from if you're Hofstra.
Sabella, one of those great examples for the program in which she wasn't a top 100 recruit out of high school, and then they really were able to develop her, and she came in with a mentality, bought in, goes so hard, and she does whatever they tell her to do, and now she's become a two-way midi, never takes a play off, and now she gets another goal. A third-team preseason All-American. 5.7 here to go. Stony Brook now with a 3-2 lead. The ground ball for Hepting on the draw. And the final seconds tick off the clock after a back and forth first quarter here on the island. Stony Brook in the final 10 seconds taking their first lead of the day. It's 3-2 thanks to Reina Sabella. Second quarter coming your way next on Lax Sports Network. Some fog rolling in here off the sound in Hempstead tonight, and it has been a gritty battle, as you might imagine, so far in our CAA Game of the Week on Lax Sports Network. 3-2, the visitor Stony Brook so far on top of the Hofstra Pride. Ellie Macera has a couple goals on the day. You just saw Raina Sabella get one to end the first quarter. The second quarter will begin with another draw. Alongside Kelly Berger, I am Tom Eschen. Appreciate you joining us here for some Friday night lacrosse and what's a 4-game weekend on Lax Sports Network. We're bringing it to you, the men, the women, and everything in between. So appreciate you joining us here to start it off on a Friday night. Whalen gets the draw, and the hold is called, so the possession will go back over to Hofstra. They've held their own in the circle so far here today. That's their 5th of the 7 they've taken.
50-50 balls, it's anyone's chance, and you can't be intimidated no matter what jersey is on the other side. And I think that's, you know, what Hofstra's doing. They're not allowing the name of Stony Brook or the ranking of Stony Brook intimidate them.
The goal was to be even on the draw, so far overachieving in that aspect. Couple saves for Jess Smith, at least on the scoreboard. It feels like she should have credit for maybe a couple more. It feels like she's made 4 or 5 saves. Right now, stat sheet just says 2, but she's made a few more stops than that to help.
I would definitely have to agree with you. Yeah, I would have to agree with you on that.
Help keep this offense at bay for a little bit, and she's done a nice job defensively. Back into the offense we go. The one-timer score. Amanda Guerra. The pass, the shot, and Hofstra ties it up 3-3. Guerra's 4th of the season.
That was very well done, and if I had to guess, they probably in that latest huddle talked about keeping the ball hot, keep it moving, and then look to the inside, and that's exactly what happened here. Head up, one cradle, see the inside, and a quick shot to finish before that goalie can even turn around, and that's what you have to do because you're going to get pressured out with Stony Brook.
Katie Whalen with the assist, her 8th of the season. Guerra, senior from Babylon, New York. Started playing lacrosse at the age of 4. And something, Kelly, I'm noticing about the Hofstra offense, they're keeping things very spread out. You know, we were talking over the course of this week about some different offenses we watched that, you know, sometimes they feel like they're packing everything in, making it easy on the defense. Hofstra seems like they're really keeping the Stony Brook defense not in the middle. They're really widening things out quite a bit, and it's working for them.
It is, as long as you make sure that they're not pressing you out and you're backpedaling. You have to still attack. But as long as Hofstra continues to feel that attack mentality while, you know, they're staying spread out and they're not passing on their back foot. We talk about that all the time, just like football players. Quarterback can't pass from their back foot. I mean, they can. They're very good at it. But it makes it a little bit more difficult. Same thing with this. They have to make sure that even though they're spread out, they're still connecting the dots in a very firm and controlled way.
McCoy looking over to the middle again. She has an assist today. Here's Macera. Hofstra's defense has held firm so far here.
You know, something about this Stony Brook offense, too, they have so many threats. Anybody can do anything with the ball here, and that's what you have to be aware of.
And there is an open Macera. They finally found her, and she's got a hat trick here in the first half.
And I say anyone can do anything with the ball, but you need to be marked up on Ellie. You cannot let her see the ball. She has 3 goals, and it's one of these things where she's wide open because she creates it for herself. She reads the off-ball defense and is able to pop open, and her teammates are looking for her.
And keep in mind, she is a sophomore in college, a true sophomore, as they say. Her junior year of high school won a state title. Played with Casey Choma out at Notre Dame, really good program out there at Eastport South Manor. And then, you know, that team, of course, had Choma and Macera. Macera never got a senior year after that because of COVID. That was completely canceled on Long Island. So she never got the chance to be the focal point. So now here she is of being on everybody's radar. You know, this time around, just an interesting transition, a very unique one that not a lot of players, I mean, in the past few years have gotten. And now you're seeing that happen more and more here due to everything that happened with COVID the last few seasons.
I think something to also mention, and Joe Spallina was not shy about saying this, she didn't play in some games last year. She did not step on the field. And, you know, all too often we think you know, the best player played every second of every game in their college career. You know, she went through growing pains and she had to continue to push through and get through those growing pains. And Joe said that it was tough for her sometimes and she was able to push through. And I do think that's what's created her into being the player that she is today, only as a sophomore.
A nice pass that time by Jaden Hampel helped open things up. Hampel, another one of the sophomores, part of that young crop that's coming through Stony Brook now that I think we're going to be talking about for a few years here. And next year, this will be a CAA game, by the way. Pass inside, Hart just a little wide. Thought maybe she looked for a moment she was going BTB there, Kelly.
She might have thought about it, but, you know, as a player, that never crossed my mind. No way. No way.
At Stony Brook, you get the green light a little bit more.
Totally.
Yeah, we had Kaylin Hart and Ellie Macera on together this week on Lax Sports Network. I was like, is that something that comes from the top? They go, yes. You know, Coach Polina, he lets that stuff go and embraces it at times. You know, really helps, you know, fire everybody up. And as we've seen, it's successful too. Big hustle there for that loose ball. Zapolsky tried to gather it. And I think that went out of bounds, so it's going to be Hofstra possession here. Big stop. Walser here working in the clear. There's one foul in the middle. Trinity Reed had it for a moment as they worked to get it into their offensive zone, and they are able to do so successfully here, trailing 4-3 here in the second quarter in Hempstead.
And something that Coach Smith talked about a lot is they need to capitalize on their offenses possessions. So when they get a chance to have the ball in their stick, they need to make it worthwhile for themselves.
And the Stony Brook defense is more of a schematic one in that. That's going to be called on Claire Levy. So you're not going to see one person really be face guarded or anything like that. It's more of their slides and how things work. And Levy, one of those players as a captain, just a sophomore on this team, and someone that's going to stick out. There's a shooting space, and they knew it. Viola will get it here on the 8-meter, an opportunity to tie the game. Two goals on the season. And she will come out of that. A couple of good defenders were around here. Levy was to her left.
It's interesting to watch the different teams throughout the NCAA and how they handle the 8 meters. You know, we see these two teams, they like to take the shot right from the 8-meter. We see other teams set up plays from the 8-meter. There's all different opportunities there and kind of what your team does best. And then sometimes, you know, they pull out if they don't feel like they have a good opportunity at all. So it's definitely interesting to watch throughout the season on who likes to do what and what style they like to take on.
Yeah, and that resulted in a shot clock violation there against Hofstra. So a great defensive stand. And just to tie things up, Claire Levy was a big part of that possession there. And watch her, 42 on defense. She's the one to watch. Joe Spallina saying he thinks she's one of the top 5 defenders in the country. So it all goes back to that side of the field. Be careful if you're Hofstra. Here's Macera again. She's got an open lane. That speed working her way through, and a quickly shooting space is called. I think maybe she wishes it wasn't called there.
Yeah, and for the life of me, I can't figure out why they're not gluing a body on her. And maybe not face guarding, but she's been pretty open for the past couple possessions, giving her this opportunity.
She'll pass out. They'll reset with Zapolsky, and another call once again going against Hofstra here. So this time they'll get it from the middle with Zapolsky, the 5th year transfer from Albany. .49 seconds on the possession clock. This could be a big opportunity for Stony Brook to take a 2-goal lead here. There she goes towards goal. She shoots, she scores. Zapolski's 5th of the season. Scored 50 last year with Albany, and now she gives Stony Brook their 5th in this one.
You could hear prior to this shot, Joe Spalina say, see the stick. And what he means by that is he wants her to shoot away from where the stick is. And I know that seems like, well, of course, but that is difficult. So as much as it's, looks easy to just run in and shoot and score, this was a perfectly placed shot off hip, being able to actually see the stick and put it somewhere else. And not only get in your own head there on the 8-meter, because sometimes that can happen as well.
Something she's done really well since coming to Stony Brook. She hasn't made many mistakes. And if you're a new player, whether that be a freshman, a transfer, the transfers are, of course, all parts of all these teams these days, but she hasn't made many mistakes. And as she gets her footing within this offense, in this scheme, in this program, someone that scored 50 goals a year ago, I'd imagine she's going to be very important for them when they end up in that NCAA tournament, as you imagine they will probably do so here this year later on. Of course, that met with some controversy, if you will, that Stony Brook, like JMU in the CAA, because just Stony Brook is moving on to the CAA next year, the America East has decided they cannot compete in the postseason tournament. So they are technically an at-large team. I'd imagine due to their strength of schedule and eventual record, they should be able to get themselves in. But there's something to keep in mind for games like this that have a little bit more weight to them.
I'm sure that's discussed and talked about. I don't think you want to harp on it too much, but you have to be aware of it, right? And make it known that each game really does matter.
2-goal lead for Stony Brook, 5-3. Hofstra at one point led 2-1. Stony Brook rotating some new players, new faces in there, amongst the old ones with Macera too. Jesse Arline checking in for the first time today. And there's another shooting space. Arline draws that one. Hofstra's just getting into some tough positions now on defense. A lot of free positions coming for the Seawolves.
A lot of 8-meters in this game, and a few that haven't been taken, which you don't see too often, but definitely have to capitalize on those.
Well, there's number 4, capitalization for Macera. Another 4-goal game coming off of 4 against Hopkins last weekend.
And I sound like a broken record, but it feels like they continue to look for her, as they should, because she figures out a way to get inside. If she can't get the ball in her stick from the start, she'll make a cut and finish. No matter what hand she has that stick in, she'll figure it out and twist her little wrist and just give a nice flick and put it by Smith, who is not easy to put by.
That time coming in as a second cutter after the screen. Sabella, the feeder in that case. She set the screen, and she then gets the assist after all of that. Sabella from Mount Sinai. She played back in, a lot of these fifth years have played a lot of lacrosse in their day. She played back in the Kylie O'Miller, Courtney Murphy era. She was a freshman on the all-rookie team in the America East, so she's seen a lot in her time, and that experience is so key. 6-3 is the score.
Stony Brook goal, her 4th of the game, 21st of the season, scored by number 12, Ali Macera. The assist to number 5, Reina Sabella. Time of the goal, 7:20.
And as Hofstra continues to battle on the draw, they're going to get the ball back. So they're going to get that opportunity. They're going to get the chances. Now they just have to continue to plug along and capitalize and not forget that it's a long game. It's only the second quarter. And they just need to win each possession. Break it down that simple.
Trying to stop this Stony Brook run. They get it back out to Esposito. And she draws a shooting space here. So Esposito will get it on the left side. An opportunity for her second goal of the game if she chooses. should have a good opportunity here. Really, there's only Levy on her right side. She shoots her second. Hofstra back on the board at 6-4.
We do know one thing, that this Hofstra team is not going to back down. They're going to figure out a way to get the ball in the back of the net. And that is just a fire shot, you know, giving herself a chance to run to the left, give her stick a little bit of room, drop her stick. So, you know, just a little trick to the goalie and then flick it high is, you know, one that you can almost guarantee will go in.
Esposito, one of those graduate students from Miller Place, New York, getting her master's in physical education and health. Now she's got 2 goals, now double digits, 11 on the season. She had 13 all of last year. So some of those players that maybe didn't get as many looks, Esposito, one of them, getting more of them this year now. There's Levy, yet another draw control. Stony Brook will settle in on the offensive end. It has been fascinating watching how Stony Brook has used Macera, how she's gotten herself free somehow a few times, just due to some of these different schematic things that Stony Brook has drawn up, really.
And that is a lot harder than it looks. She's making it look very easy, but it is an art to be able to create something off ball and get yourself open. And then to not only do that, but then catch and finish a shot when people are collapsing on you. It's an art, and it's very unique to certain players. And she's able to do it with the ball in her stick and without. And it's very, very well done. I'm impressed.
Need to wheel it around here. Feels like after the initial couple shots, Stony Brook's taken a lot of good shots. It was one of the few turnovers they've had here today into the stick of Smith. Stony Brook trying to ride a little bit here, though. Good stick work there by Trinity Reed, having it up high.
I would think that Joe is probably a little bit happier with their start. It may have been a little slow, but it definitely wasn't slow like it's been in the past couple games, and I think he's probably pretty happy with what they came up with there.
Yeah, he talked about Northwestern. He's like, yeah, they put the strobe lights on and all this, you know, hoopla, if you will. It's a tough place to play. And he said we were a little on our heels in that one. That was a 16-12 loss. And Stony Brook made that a game after they looked like they were out of it. Passed there over the middle, unable to be gathered by Gaddy. Bouncing.
Not to mention it's Northwestern, you know?
Right.
That's not intimidating enough.
Stony Brook looking for something quick here. Hart was on the crease, but a great play defensively. Kaufman got her stick in there. She runs it out. It will stay here. That felt primed for a Stony Brook goal. And Hofstra, good job again in transition to stop them.
Very good. I don't think they give themselves enough credit of how fast they are as well. You know, their goal was to slow down Stony Brook, but they don't seem to be having too much trouble with that.
Got about 4 minutes to go here in the half. 6-4, Stony Brook with a lead. Now they work it around clockwise this time. Bit of reverse, and Kelly got her stick on that. Caused turnover. Ball back to Hofstra. 2 in a row this time without a shot.
Very well done by the Hofstra defense. You can see that they're trusting each other. They're communicating. Their sticks are up in the air. Their hands are moving around. They're really just making themselves as big as they can to really just make it difficult for Stony Brook to see that open player. They've done it perfectly the past 2 possessions. I don't want to jinx them, but if they continue that, they will have success.
7 for 7 on the clear today. That also helps for Hofstra. It's really kept them in this game. Not too many mistakes. Less than 3 minutes to play in the half. Big possession, it feels. And that one's picked right off in the middle. Hofstra staying tough here on the ride. They get it back. A great hustle play. They jar it loose. Looked like Levy was off and running, and Stony Brook was off and running after all that.
You know, I think that as I saw that play, it kind of rang a bell when we talked to Shannon Smith, and she said, you know, it's no hero lacrosse for Hofstra. Everyone's in it to just play hard, and that's what they're doing.
A little too hard there from Taylor Manel. They call that offensive. It'll go back the other way for Stony Brook. That was a borderline one there.
We don't have the whistle. That's all I've learned.
Another run through for Levy, and Stony Brook will get settled here. Four goals for Ellie Macera today, 2 for Esposito on the Hofstra side. A 6-4 game here on the island on a Friday night. Arline passing into the middle. Macera went down, and they're going to call a hold on Hofstra. We'll stay here with an opportunity to come. And it looked like a Hofstra player went early there as Morgan Mitchell was lining things up. And that might make it a little bit easier for Mitchell. No, actually Sabella will now move across. Okay, so a reset for everybody here. I don't think much changed in all of that, but a couple players left the 8-meter, but we'll see if Mitchell can wind one up. Passes out to Macera. Less than 90 to go. Arline has that quarterback role. She checks in the game for Stony Brook. Kind of like her brother with Navy. Xavier, he's playing lacrosse now at the Navy, Xavier is.
Exactly. In the family.
Yep.
1 minute remaining.
A takeaway by Hepting. She had a nice day today. A couple of draw controls, ground balls, and now a caused turnover in a big spot there. Less than a minute to go.
It goes back to the Hofstra mentality and do their job. You know, them losing some big players, they then had to, you know, tap back into what is my job, what is my role, and what do I need to do to help this team.
Difficulty in the clear for Hofstra. We got some players down, and now Hofstra looking to get a bit of an advantage. Looks like Stony Brook's got enough back. That one finds it all the way through there, right along goal line extended. Hofstra somehow keeping possession amidst all of this. Chaos. Polsky got a stick on it. She picks it up. Sabella also was in there, and a brief foul call that was there in the territory of Hofstra. And they're going to try to get one more with 1 second to go, and that will do it. A chaotic finish to the first and second quarters here. But Stony Brook, a 6-4 lead after 30 minutes in Hempstead, New York. A wonderful 30 minutes at that. Ellie Macera, the star, shining bright on a Friday night. 4 goals for Stony Brook. We got a close one. Halftime in our CAA Game of the Week. Getting you set for the third quarter here in Hempstead, New York. 6-4, Stony Brook with the lead over Hofstra. Look here at the stats, Kelly, and you take a look at things, and somewhat even. I mean, Ellie Macera, as you know, has the 4 goals, but a pretty evenly matched game for the most part in that first half.
Yeah, and if you only could watch or look at these stats, you would think the game is pretty even. And Captain Obvious, it kind of is. You know, both teams are battling. The biggest thing is every coach always stresses the draw control, and they're even with the draw control, but you have to remember each team is going to get the ball back, and when they get the ball back, they need to really make sure they produce on those possessions, especially Hofstra going into this third quarter. And more importantly, what I like to pick out is the ground balls. You know, those are the hustle plays. Those are the plays that the 50-50 chance who's going to go harder for it. And quite honestly, with these two teams, you never know. The answer is they're both going to go hard. And no matter what, they're going to battle. So it's good to see that both of these teams are playing even, and we have a game on our hands.
Yes, we do. And it'll be starting up in just a few moments here. One more break, then back to the action next here on LSN. All right, third quarter about to begin here in Hempstead, New York. The fog has lifted a little bit here. A very nice night, and glad we're playing here tonight. It's supposed to pour tomorrow all over the country, it feels like. Alongside Kelly Berger, I am Tom Eschen as we get set here in the third quarter. 6th-ranked Stony Brook with a 6-4 lead over the Hofstra Pride. Hofstra at 6-1 coming into the day. Stony Brook at 3-2. The battle for Long Island reconvenes here on Lax Sports Network in our CAA Game of the Week.
It's always cool to see minds of the game go to the locker room, like Coach Spallina, like Coach Smith, see what they draw up and see when they come back out what changes they've made. I'm interested to see, because these are two coaches that really analyze the game, and they have players that will respond.
Nice job by Jaden Hampel once again. She's taking the majority of the draws today, as Charlotte Verhulst is unavailable with an injury, and she's someone who has 20 draw controls for them this year. So Hampel doing a nice job in filling that role is now just a bit of an edge for Stony Brook in that category, as Kelly alluded to moments ago. 7-6 there. And now Stony Brook takes over with possession. Macero with 4 goals in the first half. Line inserted there in the second quarter, and she hasn't really come out since then. I think Coach Spallina has liked what she's brought in that sort of surveying feeder role here and getting this offense going. Now it's Hart behind the cage. 20 on the possession clock. And a late whistle there. Plays just sort of, Sabella's just sort of stopped, and then finally a whistle blew.
And that's something we haven't seen Stony Brook do much. You haven't seen Stony Brook dodge and take the one-on-one as much as looking for the feed off of the dodge. And it's might have a little to do with the defense that they're playing against, but that's a different look, and we haven't seen that yet. But we've definitely seen a lot of 8 meters, and we've seen some capitalization on those 8 meters, but I think that you have to continue to capitalize on 8 meters because you're going to get them.
Yellow card on Katie Kelly. She'll go to the sin bin for 2 minutes. And it will be an 8 meter for Stony Brook. They get a full possession clock after that too, keep in mind. It was getting pretty low. So another 90 seconds possible of defense for Hofstra after they just played a minute and a half of it.
And I think that has a lot to do with why she pulled out there and passed out of the 8 meter, realizing you have a full possession clock. You can take some good time off this quarter right now with a lead and get a really good possession with a man up. Look inside, off the crossbar by Hart.
They get it back. Shot clock goes back to 60.
Stony Brook shot by number 14, Kaylin Hart.
And something to remember is not only does the offense have the ball in their stick for a while, it's a long time for defense to play defense and stay focused.
Rafferty's shot saved by Smith, starting the third quarter like she started the first. First save in a while for Smith, so getting some confidence back here, and especially in a big spot. And now she's going to get chased here on the ride. Not much help here for her. It's going to be difficult. Works that one over to Caitlin Murphy. And a couple of checks, but the whistle will blow.
Yeah, and on that ride there, you saw Stony Brook go after the goalie, specifically because Stony Brook is a man up. They're able to do that, and they're able to actually make some contact with that goalie if the goalie is outside of that goal circle.
Got about 20 more seconds remaining on the penalty.
Teams are even.
And there you go, even strength with 15 left here. So Hofstra used all of the time, and now they're going to have to get a shot off quickly. Kelly right off the box, and she's going to go to Cage, dumps it off. A look into the middle, a good one at that. Guerra gets her second with 3 left. 6-5, 1-goal game.
A little tic-tac-toe there, if you will. Having your head up with this tremendous pressure that Stony Brook is showing is the key, and that's exactly what Hofstra's doing. They're able to keep their head up in a pressured situation and make good feeds, turn, and finish. And all 3 of those players should be credited with that 1 goal.
Should be a hockey assist there for Katie Kelly over to Taylor Manella, who actually will get credit for the assists, with Guerra getting her second, joining Esposito, who now also has 2. I mean, Manella had to throw that in the absolute perfect spot for Guerra with such a short shot clock, and to be able to turn and just shoot, even if it wasn't a short shot clock, with all those sticks around. Really nicely executed there. Hofstra all the way through and killing the penalty and getting a goal late.
It's anyone's game at this point, and the closer it stays, you can only assume how much, vibe is going on in the arena with these players on this field. It's not only just any game, it's on the island, and these players know each other from, when they first started playing lacrosse.
Yeah, a lot of crossover with club teams. They played together. Some of the players on Stony Brook playing for Shannon Smith's club team too. Like you said, you look up and down these rosters, you've got Smithtown, you've got all sorts of places, St. Anthony's, Mount Sinai, it's Ward Melville. I mean, you go on, and it's Long Island running through the veins of this game.
You got cousins, you got family. Yeah. It's just, everyone's connected. And not as if it isn't already that way in the lacrosse world.
So Hofstra, once again, able to win the draw. Whalen gets another one. So here they are with the offensive opportunity and a chance to tie it up.
And you see here, Stony Brook goes in a little bit more of a fierce defense. So they're not as relaxed in sitting back. They come chase a little bit, and that's a change that they make. And you have to keep your cool, and sometimes that's hard as the offensive player, but you have to keep in mind that you have the ball in your stick, you're in control. Don't let them push you out too far, and feel that pressure.
There you go, the pressure jarring it loose, but gathering, getting it back is Walser. 25 on the clock here. Manella. Get quickly over to that left side. And a whistle sounds. I didn't see a signal, I just saw the play stopped. So Hofstra's going to get a free position out of that with 19 on the possession clock. There is the shot. It's deflected away. Esposito couldn't get that to go, and now a chase down here for the ground and loose ball. They're going to say that went off of Stony Brook. Quick restart here for Hofstra. They only have 5 on the clock. That didn't hit the cage. 4 on the clock, 3. And it's going to be a violation, a possession clock violation on Hofstra. Stony Brook will take over.
That play just goes to show how quickly that shot clock speeds up the game even more. You know, it just, shot clock dropped, ball picked up, going to the other side. You know, it's a run and gun game, and when you have two teams that like to do that, you can see it. It's fast.
Stony Brook still hasn't scored here in this third quarter. 6-4 at the half. Mitchell looking over to the left side. Sapolsky. There's the skip pass for Sabella. She gets it in behind the back and off the post. Almost an unreal play by Hart. The whistle's going to sound regardless. This from a few moments ago, but that could have been incredible.
And in that opportunity, she didn't have another option.
Yeah.
You know, if she turned and shot with her left hand, she would have shot into a defender. So she took what she had, and you know, it was unfortunate it hit the pipe. You're right, it would have been very pretty and probably a bit of a momentum change too. But now it's headed the other way. Got to pick up your stick and keep it moving.
Stony Brook trying to ride a little bit more in the second half, but Hofstra, to their credit, has done a pretty good job of at least clearing the ball and getting it into their territory. I mean, impressive. They've held Stony Brook scoreless here in this third. For now, it's going to be midway through here in a few moments. That's not easy.
Not easy, and Stony Brook had a long possession to start.
Picked up by Demick. She has a goal today. Their pass in the middle. Tough catch there. Wayland couldn't get it. Out comes Stony Brook. Rafferty will get it up. A couple of times today, Stony Brook's tried to work it in transition, but Hofstra's done a good job of getting back. Boyle is there, and she sends Macera to the deck, and she gets called for it too. So Macera gets it over there on that right hash with a free position. 4 goals today. Her career high of 5 came against Northwestern this year. Tough angle. She's going to pass out of it with plenty of time here to go on the possession clock.
Something with a run and gun game like this you have to start thinking about too is the depth. And, you know, something unique to Hofstra that some teams aren't able to do, but can do more often now because of the big rosters, is run those midi lines.
And there's a goal, the first of the half. Hampel. 7-5 Stony Brook. That's her 6th goal of the year for the sophomore from West Islip.
And this is what you want to do. You want to keep that ball hot. And then right when she cuts through, she realizes she's wide open, pops right back, and her teammates see her inside. It's almost that full cut, half cut back, pop open, and be able to turn and find the net, which is hard against a good goalie like Smith.
The assists going to Macera. That's her 6th assist of the year. And now she is, I believe, 1 point shy of her career high in points. So she's got 5 points today. That's 1 point shy of her career high there. .651 to go here in the third quarter. Draw control coming up. Both teams have scored 1 here in the third. Another draw, and they're going to call a late foul here, and Hoffman the one able to come up with it. Her father actually played at Stony Brook Lacrosse, Kaufman. So behind enemy lines today. I'm sure he's cheering for her in Hofstra, I'd imagine.
Probably wasn't a hard pick.
Draws have, like we've said, have been pretty even today. Hofstra's won one more, and that's what's kept anyone from really going out and getting a big lead or going on a big run, too. Their pass in the middle, the shot deflected as it goes. Langella unable to get all of that.
Shot number 29, Grace Langella. The save by Charlie Campbell.
I know we talked about Stony Brook's ride. I think Hofstra's ride has kind of picked up a little bit as well, realizing that work has to be done in between the 30s for both of these teams in order to come out with a W.
Stony Brook goes to work on their offensive end, coming off their first goal of the third. Spell looks in, Rafferty in there too, alongside Zapolsky. There's our line. Dodging from X into Hart. Hart off the stick of Smith, caught by Rafferty.
Shot by number 14, Caitlin Hart, the save by Jess Smith.
Smith
And
now up to 4 saves.
Both of these teams really show the offense of head up as you have what I call happy feet or look to dodge and then finish with that feed. You see a lot of cutters coming through and a cut and a finish. Not as much 1v1 dodging that you see a lot throughout the rest of the NCAA.
Bell, a good catch there. Hofstra playing a lot of defense again, and good defense at that. Shannon Smith told us, yeah, the defense asked a lot of questions, and the answer comes in the form of Macera. Her 5th goal, tying her career high.
And she must have heard me say it. She must have said, no, we can 1v1 dodge. This is easy, watch. Because as you see, the ball moves, the ball moves, the ball moves. It gets in her stick, and she has nothing but jets under her feet to get past that defender, protect her stick, go around the defender, and then the final defender of the goalie finding that hole right between those legs.
So it's 8-5, and something else to see here, and I had hesitated before, because that is a new goalie in for Stony Brook here in this third quarter, by the way. Cameron Halsall has come in for Charlie Campbell. Campbell making a couple of saves in that first half. Halsall came in the Dartmouth game and the Northwestern game this year. Like we talked about at the top of the broadcast, she started every game for this team last year, a team that was really good. They won, of course, America East Championship and also played in the NCAA tournament. So Halsall is now in there from Ontario, Canada, the redshirt senior here for Stony Brook. Stony Brook now nursing that 8-5 lead. Halsall waits to find out who will win this draw. Hofstra will be the ones that get it, and they'll get to set up offensively after 2 straight goals here for the Seawolves. Less than 4 to play in the third. So Macera's now matched her output again in that Northwestern game. She had 5 goals and assists then too. That's her career high. So one more point, one more goal, and she's setting herself new standards. Imagine that was going to come sooner or later in her career.
And as a player, you know how many you have, you know how many, maybe your best game was, but at the end of the day, you're just looking to do whatever you can for your offense. And as long as the ball's in her stick, she's doing what she can for her offense.
There's Manella pressed all the way through there defensively by Vendilio, and it's Halsall who comes up with it.
Shot by number 21, Taylor Manella.
Halsall will be a member of Team Canada in this summer's World Championships in Towson, Maryland. He was a part of the U19 team that won the World Championship for Team Canada back in 2015. So a couple of faces you've seen here on LSN, or accordingly also another Team Canada member. Just reached the bottom of the hour alongside Kelly Berger. I am Tom Eschen. 8-5 here in the battle for Long Island in Hempstead, New York. Stony Brook with a couple in a row. That's definitely a call for a charge, and it is. And it looked like taking that was Jackie Gaddy, sacrificing the body.
A very well done charge, if you will. Sometimes those can be somewhat scary to take as someone's running right to you, but you know, as a defender, you have to have the mentality of how can I get the ball back for my team, and causing that turnover is huge for Hofstra right now.
Certainly one way to do it and let someone basically plow into you. It's like, all right, here we go.
I'd like to think you have a little bit maybe of a basketball background as well, and you kind of understand how to take it, not just, you know, fall ungracefully. And that looked like she knew what she was doing.
The best athletes are the ones that fall without getting hurt. So that's it. You're onto something there, Kelly.
You got it. Or if you grow up with, like, you know, a bunch of brothers or something, you figure it out.
Oh, I mean, I've got all sisters. I had to learn how to fall too. Feed to Manella in front. Halsall aggressive coming out of the crease there, and now she's with a couple of white shirts around here. No one's in the cage. And a whistle's blown against Hofstra. The timeout, excuse me, is called, actually. Joe Spallina running all the way down here to that end to make sure that Stony Brook got possession. You can tell how important the ball is. 8-5 is the score. 1:10 to play here in the third quarter. You're watching the CAA Game of the Week on Lax Sports Network. All right, 1:13 to go here in the third quarter. 8-5, Stony Brook with the lead over Hofstra. Ellie Macera's really stood out today. 5 goals and an assist for Stony Brook, but Hofstra playing tough on the defensive end. Offensively, got to get things going a little bit, but it's been a pretty gritty affair, just as we would have it here in Long Island, right?
Yeah, Hofstra's had opportunities. They're just not finishing those opportunities. So just take an extra breath there. See if you can find the net, and you know, 1-2 more goals, it's a totally different story. They're getting those opportunities, so they can't be discouraged about that. Stony Brook needs to continue what they are doing, but also not make silly mistakes like that last play from the goalkeeper could have been, and you know, have your coaches bail you out with a timeout. They got to be a little bit more smart while they're up on this lead.
Second smart timeout we've gotten today, I feel. You know, we had the one earlier in the first half that Shannon had called, and now with his goalie in trouble, you know, Joe Spallina calls one of his own.
Yeah, these two coaches don't just sit back and watch. They're very active.
That's a great way to put it. All right, let's see what happens on the restart here. Hofstra coming in with some pressure. And just turning on the Jets in an impressive way here. I mean, I believe that's Levy in the middle of the field, and she is a one-woman clear. How about that? Claire Levy. Now you understand what we're talking about.
Got some wheels.
Went to the same high school as Joe Spallina, one that he coached at Rocky Point. One of the few players out here that's never played club lacrosse in her life.
I actually believe he said she was a freak of nature. Like, if that doesn't show just in that clear right there, that is a huge compliment coming from Joe Spallina. And she did things that she just, you know, people didn't expect her to do. And not playing club lacrosse. Like, wow.
She's just a sophomore, too. The sophomore class is one we're going to be talking about, I think, for a while here. 10 seconds, meanwhile, in this third. Stony Brook taking it down once again. They did this at the end of the first quarter. 4 on the clock. Got to get a shot off. 3 on the clock. Can they find an opening? And Hofstra stands firm to finish the third. So they passed the test this time, but the fourth quarter looms here in Hempstead. Stony Brook an 8-5 lead behind 5 goals and an assist from Ellie Macera, but one more defensive stand to end the third. What will the fourth bring? Stay tuned. You're watching the CAA Game of the Week on Lax Sports Network. Having some fun out here in Hempstead tonight. The Battle of Long Island wages on into the fourth quarter. Into the night we go. Alongside Kelly Berger, I am Tom Eschen. It's the Seawolves with an 8-5 lead over Hofstra. Hofstra coming in at 6-1. Stony Brook, the 6th-ranked team in the nation, at 3-2. Halsall back in there for the fourth quarter. In the middle, it's Katie Whalen and Jaden Hampel for the draw. 5 goals and an assist tonight for Ali Macera. She has been advertised, and this game, gritty as advertised. Hard fought and a lot of fun.
We've said it all game that, you know, possessions are important, but they haven't been as important as the next possessions that come in this quarter, because you just don't know how many more you'll get, and each one has to count and matter and be productive on both sides of the ball.
We had a stick to a leg there in that draw, so it's going to go the way of Stony Brook. And they will settle things in and get into their offense here, up 8-5. And Kaylin Hart, who so far scoreless today, but has had her chances, and a couple of exciting ones at that. Maybe 2 of the more exciting misses you'll see. A couple post hit for her today. Meanwhile, it's been the person with that ball right there, and Macera has gotten the job done.
And you know, Tom, something interesting that talking to both of these coaches, they said, you know, they do focus on the other team, but they focus a lot on themselves. And that has shown, because they've been playing the same defenses the entire game. Their offenses really haven't changed. They've really just said, okay, we need to be better maybe at this about us, not necessarily the other team, where some teams might have put a face guard or might have changed up a defense, and you haven't seen that yet.
Sabella went for a backhand there. It goes just wide.
Shot by number 5, Reina
a yellow card. I think they're going to call that a dangerous follow-through on Sabella after the backhand. So Sabella now will sit out for 2 minutes with a yellow card there. 13:31 on the clock. There she goes to sit down.
Stony Brook yellow card is set to number 5, Reina Sabella. It is a 2-minute penalty.
So here comes Hofstra once again, a successful clear. They've been perfect in that facet today. Now 13 for 13. See what they can do here in this special teams opportunity. Shannon Smith, she goes, yeah, look at the Green Bay Packers, how bad they were on special teams this year. That cost them a chance at the Super Bowl. She goes, we need to be good in those areas. Things like this and the woman up situation.
Special teams, I love that she calls it that as well.
Yeah. Look, they're on the doorstep, and I think Halsall might have even gone off the cage there. She's able to gather that behind, and now Stony Brook gets it back. Here comes Levy. The one-woman clear. There she goes. She had an opening for a moment, and wisely will get it back out knowing the situation.
Yeah, and you may see here that Hofstra starts to pressure a little bit more because they are woman up. They're able to, you know, use that extra body. They also might sit back and say, it's okay, we got some time, and take a deep breath and regroup. And let's see if we can get a good defensive possession out of this.
Stony Brook will continue to work it around. About 10 seconds remaining here on the penalty. So that should give them a very short amount of time to work here in even strength. Penalty released. 10 on the possession clock. They get it on the inside, a check to the back there, and that's going to get called. Erin Tierney was right in the perfect spot. I don't know if there was anywhere that Macera was able to go, but she gets whistled. And now here's Macera looking for a career high. 5 on the clock. She's going to have to shoot it. It's her against Smith. And there goes Macera in. Smith makes the stop and makes it again. And they'll get whistled anyway, but still, Smith passes the test.
Do you think Shannon Smith practiced that shot throughout practice? I would have to say maybe.
Hofstra having some trouble. Their first failed clear of the day. And really a lot of momentum had come after that save, and Stony Brook steals it right back. Smith now up to 5 saves today. It's not been the game for saves. She just has 5. Halsall has 2. Campbell had 1 when she was in there. So not been a ton of shots on goal. This hasn't been a goalie type game. It's really been the defensive that done a nice job.
And again, I can't stress enough, both of these defenses, watching them, if you're someone new to playing or you're a young defender, watch how much these guys are communicating. They're turning their heads, they're pointing, they're trusting one another, and they're able to really almost play, you know, just guessing what the other person's going to be doing because they're trusting them so much.
Less than 10 minutes to play in the fourth. 8-5, Stony Brook with the lead. 20 on the possession clock. Hart looks over the middle. To get nothing doing there. Hofstra really working Stony Brook deep in this clock. Sabella looks over the middle. Back to Hart. She's got to make a dodge. To no avail, and they do call that cross-check late. They let Hart continue, but another cross-check called on Hofstra. They have not gotten the edge here calls-wise, but there is just 3 seconds here for Hart to work from that hash. Not the easiest angle. Still hasn't made her way to the scoreboard today. 5 for 7 on free positions this year. She's got to go in. She takes it out first, and she goes up top. Hart pings the corner, 9-5. A backbreaker for Hofstra, who played 90 seconds of defense, Kelly.
Yeah, but you know, you have to credit Hart here. She realized she's on that outside hash. She played through the entire 3 seconds left on the shot clock and finished maybe one of the hardest shot we've seen all day. You know, back foot coming out towards the 8-meter and pretty far out, and was able to rip it. And that's a big goal for Stony Brook right there.
She goes right over there to Coach Spallina, and he tells her what's up. Hart came on the scene like a house of fire in her freshman year. That was that 2020 season in which Stony Brook was so promising, went and beat Syracuse. She was in the Sports Center top 10 in her first 2 games of her career. And now she's settled in here as technically a junior. 13 goals, 14 goals now, 4 assists on the season. Made it 9-5 there. There's Levy again. She does stick out, doesn't she? As Stony Brook gets another draw.
She makes the whole running thing look just easy, like she's on ice skates.
So 9 minutes to play. Stony Brook again here on the offensive end. Hofstra's played a lot of defense over the last couple minutes. They played good defense too. They've sort of been on the wrong end of some calls here.
And I think that's tough. You play almost, 85 seconds, and it's the last 5 that make the difference. But you got to stay focused through those whole that whole entire possession.
It's 90 seconds, not 85, right? For a reason.
Exactly. And sometimes longer if it, hits a pipe or whatever it is, it can be longer. So you got to stay focused the entire time until that ball is on the other end.
Yeah, and on the other end, been really impressed by Stony Brook's patience in all of that and trying to get the right shot.
And not to mention their stick work. It's one of those things where the way they move the ball and how quickly it moves, they do it very well that you almost don't talk about it because there's not many mistakes. But that is very well done by them, very disciplined.
That ball picked up quickly by Hart, and the clock will expire. So there you go. Hofstra once again plays a full 90, and they get rewarded for it. And now they got to clear it. That went over to Smith. And Smith gets it taken away. The ride by Massera, but Massera will be called for it. And Smith's all sorts of fired up. Maybe they called the timeout first. I didn't see which one was called. It was the timeout or a brief foul there, but we're going to have a moment here to hear some Coldplay. And while we talk, meanwhile, I mean, these two, we talk about their Long Island and them being sort of just down the route of a rivalry. And all time, they're tied 5-5, and a recent history, they don't have much of that. They didn't play for a long period during that middle 2010, so they reconvened last year, and that was a close game too. 12-8 was the final out there at Lavelle. So Stony Brook won the last 4 in these two meetings, in these meetings between these two. So, I mean, it's been interesting to see this sort of reinvigorated the last couple seasons of getting to see these two both in Long Island and playing each other, and a fun rivalry to have here in the middle of March.
Yeah, and you can say that, no one's paying attention to that as the coaches or the teams aren't necessarily paying attention. These kids know each other, and they don't only know each other just, playing against each other so much throughout their careers, whether it was on club team or in college. But, summer, they go home, they play summer ball. Everyone knows everyone in the lacrosse world. So you better believe that they want a little bit of bragging rights to walk away from this game. And you can't say it doesn't matter, because it matters for Stony Brook maybe in a different way than Hofstra, but it does matter. And it's a good battle. I've been impressed with both teams.
We got the coach speak from Joe Spallina on that when I asked him, but I brought up, I said, we interviewed Kaylin Hart and Ellie Massera this week, and there were some giggles. You could tell. I was like, I got Hofstra on another Long Island. They go, yeah, I know, And
I think I even said to Joe, don't give me the coach's spiel. Like, give me the real deal here, Joe.
Clear. Shannon Boyle, great job here in the clear. Hofstra needed that, and a good timeout as well. Another good one by Shannon Smith, using a good spot. So 7 minutes to play. Hofstra needing a goal. They have just one in the second half. That came early in the third quarter. It's been a while, and the Stony Brook defense has held firm. And they've taken a lot of the time off the clock on offense. Whalen tries to find a step. It gets jarred loose, but the whistle will come. Levy was there, almost got herself a cause turnover. And this will be a free position for Whalen.
And again, I don't know what's going on in her mind, but it needs to be go to goal.
She rears back, fires off the crossbar. Battle in front of the crease. Halsall gets it. Drops it, and it's in the crease, so Halsall will be able to gather it. Oh, man.
And, some may like that take, some may not, but my take is you have to shoot in order to score, and they need goals. So you got to take that opportunity that you have. You're running out of opportunities, and when you have, one of your top players up on that line, you got to take that option.
That was an absolute bullet from Whalen, too. Because Halsall had her matched, and that still beat Halsall. She was ready for it.
There's players that can take that 8-meter shot that way, and when they can do it and they're good at it, it is so impressive. And there's all different styles, and you got to figure out which one works for you. But they are pretty goals when they go in, because they are just, like you said, they're just fire. They go past everybody and nobody sees it.
I mean, you look at this game, it's 9-5 in this fourth, and you see Whalen hit the post. She hasn't scored a goal today. I mean, she does have the assist earlier, and that's something Stony Brook has done a good job. Like we talked about, they don't do face guarding, but schematically they're able to maybe keep some players out of the game, and Whalen, she's been held off the goal score sheet at the very least, and as their leading scorer, that you sort of add the things up, and that's why Hofstra has just scored 5 goals today too. Stony Brook working it counterclockwise now over into the stick of Hart.
You can see Stony Brook always moving. Everybody's moving. Nobody's standing still. The ball is moving. That's very hard for the defense to keep track of when there's so many things to watch and look at.
Hart gets her second. Dodges from the top, gets to the cage, and Stony Brook leads 10-5.
And that's something they do really well. Stony Brook swings that ball. They keep the ball hot, making the defense have to shift their head and shift their bodies. And this is where they're able to beat them on the backside with the 1v1. And that's what you see there. It leaves those lanes just a little bit more open for, one, the attacker to see the opportunity, but two, to be able to weave through some pretty intense defense and find your hands in that shot.
All right, I wanted to bring this up. This was pretty recent, and I was able to ask her about it this week. She's part of a Tunnel to Towers Foundation. It's a student-athlete advocate program in remembering and educating people about what happened on September 11th, 2001. And she's a student-athlete advocate of that. And she had family members that, of course, were involved in that attack and trying to get people out of the towers. So Caitlin Hart, a big proponent and an advocate in letting people know, and especially in, helping to educate her peers about what happened, as obviously a lot of them now at this point were born after those days. So a really cool initiative that she's a part of, and an important one, too.
Very cool, very, very respectful, and just incredible for a young student athlete to then also put that on her plate and not think twice about it. It's pretty awesome.
And people forget Long Island is technically a part of Metro New York City at the end of the day. So, that sort of falls in that same reign out there. Yellow card here on Hofstra. That's a tough time to get it. 5:01 to go. Carrie Walzer will have to go sit out for 2 minutes. So 10-5 in Stony Brook, and that's something else they've done is been able to really work this clock, and they've done it really effectively too.
And that's something that, as the season goes on, you learn clock game management. And I can only assume that start of the season, it might not be where you want it to be, but you maybe have to go through some of those games like the Northwestern that Stony Brook had to go through to understand, okay, how can we manage the clock and manage the game a bit better?
I think at the very least, Hofstra down 10-5 here, at least the band is enjoying themselves. Because
I mean, yeah, look at that guy in the front. He's getting it.
Look, everybody's got the phones out. Now he's on television. I mean, the moves. I'm thoroughly impressed. He had the tambourine earlier. We showed you that at halftime, and he was working that tambourine like there's no tomorrow.
Friday night in college on the island, pep band. Let's go.
Right. I mean, we started the broadcast with what? Pizza, bagels, the beaches, and Friday nights in Hempstead. I should have added that to the list of things to do. Who needs Montauk, right?
And it's not freezing cold. You know,
True.
I mean, that's something to celebrate within itself.
Yeah. That's we. Around here it was 60 degrees or so today. So everybody comes out of their shell this time of year. Like a bunch of caterpillars out of their cocoons. We all turn into butterflies at the end of the day, don't we?
Yes, we do. Come May.
And what a metaphor it is for life.
It is. You are right.
All
Tom.
right. So we also worked through that timeout. What I was going to say before the timeout is I talked about the patience for Stony Brook, but that's got to be a real point of emphasis. They have worked this clock so deep. Almost every possession of this half, you could say. It's been in maybe the teens, the single digits, right?
Yeah, and as, you know, one of two things, when you have a fast team and when you have a very talented team that likes to go to goal, sometimes it's hard to discipline them, to tell them to wait. I remember in college, we used to play a game where we'd have possession and we would try and go and then just go kind of when we're ready. And we would go and our coach would say, how long do you think that was? And we were like, 60 seconds. She would be like 15. You know, it feels like so much longer. So it does take a lot of discipline from these attackers as well to just stay in the game plan, trust it, and chip away at it. Because at first, let's remember, it wasn't working right away. They were, first couple possessions, they struggled a little bit, but they kept chipping away and stuck to it.
One bouncing through the middle, picked up for a moment by Gaddy. Now a scramble here for it. McQuarrie went down diving for it as well. The whistle will go against Gaddy. Still in the woman up, like I said, a minute more to go there. But about 15 seconds to go on the possession clock. Polsky gets in the middle. That shot hits the crossbar. We've had pipes all over the place tonight. Sabella thwarted.
Now by number 5, Reina Sabella.
And that's huge too. You know, it hits a pipe, you get a reset to 60 seconds, and then you get a fresh possession. And when you have a team like Stony Brook that wears the possession down, that can be tough on the defense.
I mean, Stony Brook's won one more draw than Hofstra. Normally you'd say, oh, you know, with one team having the ball this much, I think, oh, they dominated the draw. But that couldn't be further from the truth. But Stony Brook's had the ball so much more than Hofstra in this half, just because they've been able to hold it through their clock. That one right in front of Sabella. She can't get it to go. Goes past the goal. I think it's going to get picked up here. And unable to pick it up is Hofstra. So it goes back over. Short clock. Smith was out, and scoring is Stony Brook. Confusion leads to the 11th goal of the day.
That's as much game management as anything, right? Being aware of where the ball is and how much time is on the clock and how people are just taking an extra second and being relaxed. It's go time. And I would have to say that it is always go time for Ellie.
That's her 6th goal of the day. That's her new career high. She now has 23 on the season. 6 goals and an assist for Ellie Macera.
Ellie Macera. That's Ellie Macera, her 6th of the game, 23rd of
The sophomore from Eastport, New York, living up to all this hype. One of the most dynamic players Joe Spallina has ever had. That's saying something. He's had some dynamic players in his day.
Too many to count, huh?
Maybe we were just talking about in our newsroom here about the all-time career points and how, you know, Taryn Ohlmiller's 3rd on that list. Kylie is 1st. Those are 2 Stony Brook players, and I mean Macera. Could they have another one joining them up at the top? I think Jen Adams is right in the middle of the 2. I think off the top of my head, but still, I mean those are 2 players from the same program that are top 3 in the history of lacrosse here. So that's really cool.
And also 2 players in the same family.
Yes.
Like, forget, like, you know, same program. Like, same family.
Yeah.
Grew up together. It's really, really impressive. But to add another one, you know, who knows what could happen, but that would be very impressive.
11-5 is the score. Stony Brook gets it again. They've gotten the last couple draws here as they've been able to bleed the clock, especially with an advantage here at times too. Two minutes to play. Out to Macera, looking over the middle. Shot fake, then she shoots. Just goes wide.
Shot by number 12,
Like we
Ali
said
Osera.
before, this is the start of a tough stretch for Hofstra, one of the tougher stretches of their season. They've got Vanderbilt here on Sunday. Then they go to UConn and then come back here for JMU.
And I think they can walk away from this game really looking at both halves very differently. First half, it felt like they were a bit of a different team than the second half. And whatever that might be the reason for, whether it was just, the ball not in their stick and figuring out how to manage the game a little bit better to get that ball in their stick, but really break this down, because this is a good opportunity for them to see themselves against a top team.
And they're going against the top player here in the country, maybe making a bit of a statement here tonight. And this time it's Morgan Mitchell, able to get her first of the day.
Her first of the season, scored by number 15.
Her first goal of the season at that. Had a couple goals last year, so Mitchell able to get her first. And as for Stony Brook, we talk about their tough schedule. They'll go to Brown and take on Vermont, and then they got Princeton at the end of the month too. And we had mentioned before that, yes, they are technically, as Joe Spallina says, that we are independent at this point. We are an at-large team. They've got some top 20 wins, Florida and Johns Hopkins at this point. And they not entirely pleased that they won't be able to compete. I'm sure for those kids it's very difficult to not be able to do that. Similar story in the CAA with James Madison, but they Joe Spallina believe that they're going to play a tough enough schedule where they can go make some noise in the tournament at the end of the year. So that's just another layer that's been added on by conference realignment, and you feel badly for the kids, at the end of the day, that they can't go and compete to win the America East once again.
Yeah, it's definitely a tough thing, and at the end of the day, you don't have control over it, so you have to just do the best you can, and that's to play every game and pretend like it's the national championship and you must win.
Yeah.
To make sure that you go noticed, because you can't just kind of say, oh, well, we have a second season. It's not the case for those teams. So hopefully maybe some things change in the future with that process, but until then, you just got to roll with it.
1 minute to play here, 12-5. Hofstra finally getting the ball here on the offensive end. A foul that's going to happen here, and a cross check with Guerra. Maybe a possibility at a hat trick here. Came into the day with 3 goals all season long. Trying to double that in one fell swoop. And she goes and scores. So Guerra gets the hat trick.
And again, things that you can walk away from in this game. Amanda maybe wasn't a goal producing player, and she came out of this game having that. And so to take that away, take the good away and build from that, Hofstra can definitely do that with this game.
So she ties her career high in goals with the 3 today. And yeah, Hofstra has turned the ball over 15 times today. I think that might be a stat that Shannon Smith goes and talks over with her team as they look at reasons things didn't go their way. But they played good, hard defense, for the duration of this one. And Stony Brook, to their credit, able to execute late in the possession clock over and over again. Really methodical in doing that today.
I know Shannon Smith from, the Team USA days, and she breaks down everything, and she is like we've talked about before, a mind of the game. It's really interesting to listen to her talk about the game, and she's going to walk away from this game and just take tons of information and feed it to her team. That seems like they're sponges right now. They're soaking everything up and they're buying in. So it could be, at the end of the day, no coach wants to have a loss be a good thing, but it could be a good thing for them too, to really learn and break things down.
Well, if you didn't get a chance before tonight to see Ellie Macera play, I hope you enjoyed it, because she did great things, not only dodging, but off the ball too, and was involved from the get-go. And a 6-goal, 1-assist game, a career high in goals and points for Macera, as Stony Brook improves the 4-0, a 12-6 final here in Hempstead. They celebrate with their goalie, Halsall and Campbell splitting the duty here today. Some smiles for winning the Battle of Long Island. We're going to take a quick break, then come back with the final thoughts in a moment. You're watching the CAA Game of the Week on Lax Sports Network. A 12-6 final on this Friday night in Hempstead, New York. Kelly Berger, your final thoughts after this contest today.
You know, the score is somewhat lopsided, but that doesn't go to say that both of these teams didn't battle the entire time. The effort of both of these teams and, you know, just the unsung plays, the hustle plays, and going after those 50-50 balls, that's always so impressive to watch from both of these teams, these Long Island teams, and I'm excited to see what they do down the line, because I know they both have big games coming up, and we're kind of right in the middle of it, so I'm excited to see it.
Mid-season, mid-March, Ellie Macera getting the job done, 6 goals and an assist today, career highs for her. Kelly, you want to go do this again on Sunday?
Yeah, let's do it.
New game, because we got another game to come here. We got Florida, who just beat Syracuse, taking on Drexel. And don't let the fact that Drexel's receiving votes, they're not ranked. This is going to be a feisty matchup. Quick preview, Kelly. We don't have much time. What you got there? Florida Drexel, first thoughts.
My first thoughts is it's going to be Drexel coming out hot, ready to go, and Florida having to kind of feel them out, because I think it's kind of new territory. So on all different sides of the ball, with the new coach with Kim, and, you know, Florida traveling to Drexel, might be a little chilly for them. So we'll see. I'm excited. And not to mention, it's an early game. So, you know, who's going to get out of bed first and make sure their legs are warm?
We will. We'll be getting out of bed to bring that game to you. 11 a.m. on Sunday morning. We can't wait to bring that to you. But that'll do it here from Hempstead, New York. For Thomas McNeely, our producer tonight, and Kelly Berger, I am Tom Eschen. Thanks so much for joining us. See you next time.